So I've promised you that I will improve your overall drawing and painting skills, and I stick by that. So in this episode, it's all about the ballpoint pen again, and I'm going to teach you about the papers. Okay, so in reality, the paper you use is a personal choice. However, there has to be some sort of rule set in place for that, because you can't just do it on any sort of paper. The paper has to have some texture. Doesn't have to have a lot, but it has to have some. So I'm going to demonstrate what I mean by that. Sadly, I haven't got a plain cartridge paper, so I'm going to do it on a bit of line, but I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so as you know, this will be a very, very smooth paper. And to some degree, it does all depend on what pen you're using. If you're using a finer type of pen, you can get away with it better on this paper, but if you're using a thicker nibbed pen, then you can't. The pens I will get into in the next improver video. So I'm going to show you with a thicker pen what you can get on this. Now you have to bear in mind that I have practiced a lot on papers, so but if I do this, it's really not taking it off that well. It's going to take a long time to build that up. I can get a very smooth line, but the chances are every now and then I'm going to go like that, and you know, to have your hand that steady for that amount of time is exceptionally difficult, and every now and then you are going to end up with lines, and I'm barely touching this paper, so it's really not the ideal paper to be doing this on. Also, you may get splodges like I've just got there. I will get into that on another video. It's all about techniques and what have you. But you can see the thicker nibbed pen really isn't doing too much on this paper. You're having to press a little bit harder, and you're not getting a very smooth line. So I'm going to now try a finer pen. Now with the finer pen, I can get probably a finer, smoother transition, but what I'm getting is, because the nib is thin, it's laying down a lot of ink, which sounds counterintuitive, but I'm having to press a little bit harder to get that on there. If I press lightly, I just ain't going to get nothing, whereas the larger ball I could get something. So I'm having to press a little bit harder, and already I've probably gone a little bit darker than I want to. So a smoother cartridge paper I would not use. Now I have here, it's actually an oil pastel paper, but it's a smooth card. So I think this is worth looking at as well. This would probably get you quite a nice coverage. I have done a picture on it, and I'll show you that now. The problem I found when I did that picture was it's the layering that becomes the problem then, because there isn't so much texture. The layers of ink become less. So you can get a nice, this is with the smooth pen, you can get a nice coverage, and you can get layers, and you can get lighter and darker shades. That's not a problem. But again, you might have to press slightly harder, and when you start building up this ink, you'll probably find that it becomes harder to do because you're not getting the layers on that you want. Slightly toothier paper, and it is very slightly, it has to be, it's not like the cartridge paper where that's very smooth. This is like a card. This is actually the Paul Rubens oil pastel pad, if anybody's got it. You'll get something on there, but it's not ideal. And we'll try again with the thicker nib. Get some of the blotchiness off. And you can see that you're getting it, but you're having to again press slightly harder, which is not what you want. But you are getting definite smoother transitions and lighter tones where you want them. But as you start building up, this is going to become a bit of a problem. You can see already I'm still struggling to smooth this layer out. because I've got a nice dark line going on through it. It's just not working out for me. Now this one is actually quite a good pad. This is the Clairefontaine Aqua pad. Now Clairefontaine very kindly sent me a load of pads. It wasn't for any reason whatsoever. It was just the fact that, well, basically I asked them. And they sent me a few of these pads to do ballpoint pens on. And there is actually quite a nice textured paper. It's a cold press Aqua paper. But to some degree, the texture isn't quite right. So you need a smooth but textured paper, if that makes sense. You don't want it too textured, otherwise you're not going to be able to get the smoothness and the lines you want. It kind of goes full circle from the smooth paper right through to the textured paper. It's only in that middle section where you've got something with texture, but it's still relatively going to give you some smoothness, that you're going to get the perfect thing. Now this is within that scope. So I'm going to show you with the heavier pen what I can get. Already I can feel the ink coming off on this, so much better. It will take building up, but you can see I'm getting finer lines. Well, I hope you can see I'm getting finer lines. It just feels better. It's not so smooth. There's some texture there that is scraping the ink off the ball, and eventually you'll be able to build up whatever tones you want, whether they be light, which I'm doing here, which you can probably only just see, or whether you want to build up these darker tones in here. Alright, you just keep building and keep building. And you can see that there's some texture to the paper. I'm going to zoom in a little bit actually, because it's probably quite hard to see. So, yeah. There we go. Hopefully you can see that. And you can see that you're getting a nice smoothness. There will be a point when you're layering like this when it becomes smooth. The layer becomes smooth and the transition is beautiful and you're getting exactly what you want. But you have to obviously build this up. We're kind of nearly getting to that point. So it's a case of have a little bit of patience. I mean, it's not taking me that long, is it? But you can see that I'm already getting a smoothness that I want. But because this has a tiny little bit too much texture on it, it's going to take a long time, or a longer time. So it's not a bad paper. This is looking a bit patchy at the moment, but I'd have to keep going. Notice there's a blob there. I'll explain all that in another video. So I'm going to try with a thinner pen now. A thinner pen will work better on a more textured paper. It just seems to fill in the tooth of the paper a lot better. You can probably already see that, I would say. So look, it's giving you a much smoother transition. It's filling in the texture of the paper a lot better than a bigger ball pen. There will be a point in time where I will tell you when to use certain pens. But again, that's for another video. There's actually quite a lot to this, and it will improve your drawing and painting in every aspect. But look at this. Aren't I getting a nice smooth transition there? And it's because it's a thinner pen to begin with, and it's a textured paper. Having said that, slightly less textured would be better. And preferred paper at the moment. I'm just about to try some Strathmore Series 300, I think they call it, Vellum. I think that is going to be the perfect paper. But up until now, this is the paper I've done all my work on. And it's the Clairefontaine cold press 200 gram paper. That's this one. Okay. Etival watercolour paper. 200 grams. Fine grain. So, I'm going to show you with the larger pen what you get. It's going to be similar to the Aqua pad, but it's got a different texture to it. This has got more of a close-knit texture, which is what you want because it makes the paper smoother but still has texture. I went on there a bit hard to begin with, that was my fault. But you can see you're getting a lovely smooth texture to that. Much more than you were on the Aqua pad. And it's because it's a more close-knit texture to it. It's not entirely different texture-wise, as in the fullness of the texture, but it is better because it's, like I say, close-knit, and you will get a very, very smooth transition on this. And I will show you a picture now that I did on the Aqua pad. You will see that that is a slightly rougher look than the ones that I'm now about to show you on the Etival. So you'll see how you can, the choice of paper does make a big difference. Okay, so look at that, I'm starting to fill it in lovely. Let's try with the thin pen, or the fine pen I should say. This should be absolutely superb. You don't need to press hard, you just need to let the texture of the paper take the ink off. You're just scraping that pen along the top. And you can see how you're getting some lovely fine smooth transitions and tones. In this particular case, the large ball is better than the small ball. It's all a matter of testing what you can get, seeing what transitions you get, what smoothness you get, and what pen fills in better. In this particular case, because the texture is so close knit, the larger ball that releases a lot more ink is filling in better. Now you can see, well, I hope you can see where this paper is so much better than the other papers I was just using. You just keep building up. I'm just going over this little tiny bit here, darkening it up deliberately, just so you can see how smooth you could get that. So, that's 4 different types of paper of varying textures. Very, very exceedingly smooth, very smooth, going through to a rougher textured, but still relatively smooth, through to this one, which is very close knit, but textured, but also smooth at the same time. Okay, I hope that makes some sense. Basically, it's just play around with the papers you've got, see which one has enough texture on it, but also has a close enough knit to the texture to make your pen transitions look very smooth. Also, it does depend on what pen you're using as well. A thicker ball pen will make a different texture on a different paper than what a finer will. Play around, test a paper with a pen, see what you've got. Most pens are medium, by the way. That is a 1mm pen if you're interested, so it's just a bog standard pen. So I hope that helps. Please believe me when I tell you this and the other videos that I've done. First one on mark making and what marks you can use, so the hatching, the cross hatching, all that sort of stuff. The second one was all about how to hold the pen. So you've got the mark making, you've got how to hold the pen, which will help you with that mark making, and now I've added the paper to the quota. You should now be in a position to get some really smooth transitions. Next time I'm going to talk about the ball pens and how I use them and what different ball pens there are and reasons why and how and where to use them. So until next time, have a great day, a great week and a great year, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye for now.